My beloved child, I know the nights you did not speak about. I know the moments when the room was quiet, but your heart was trembling. I know the prayers you whispered when no one was listening, the tears you wiped away before anyone could see them, and the questions you carried in silence because you were too tired to explain your pain again. Before you ever saw a door open with your own eyes, I had already heard the cry rising from the deepest place within you. You thought some days were empty. You thought some seasons were only delays. You looked at your life and wondered why nothing seemed to move, why the answer had not come, why the promise felt so far away. But, my child, what looked still to you was not still to me. In the silence, I was working. In the waiting, I was preparing. In the hidden place, where no one applauded you and no one understood the weight you were carrying, I was laying the first stones of a new path. Not every beginning looks like a beginning. Sometimes, the first sign of a new season is not an open door, but a heart that learns to trust me while the door is still closed. I have never allowed one sincere prayer to disappear into emptiness. I have never treated your tears as something small. What fell from your eyes was seen by mine. What trembled in your chest was known by my heart. As I spoke in 2 Kings 20, verse 5, I am the God who hears prayer and sees tears. So do not believe that your waiting has been wasted. Waiting is not always rejection. Sometimes waiting is protection. Sometimes the door you wanted was closed because I saw what it would do to your soul. Sometimes the answer seemed delayed because I was preparing not only the blessing, but also the person who would have to carry it. There are things you asked for when your heart was still wounded. There are places you wanted to enter before your spirit was ready to stand there in peace. And because I love you, I did not rush you into what would have broken you. I held you back, not to punish you, but to preserve you. My beloved child, my silence has never been indifference. A seed beneath the soil may feel buried, but it is not forgotten, hidden in the darkness. It is being softened, strengthened, and prepared to rise. Your soul has been like that seed. In seasons when you thought nothing was happening, roots were growing in places no human eye could see. Your faith was learning depth. Your heart was learning surrender. Your spirit was learning to breathe in my presence instead of chasing every answer in fear. You may not understand it all today. You may still look at certain closed doors and feel the ache of disappointment. But one day, you will see that I was not absent in the delay. I was guarding your steps. I was shaping your desires. I was teaching you how to receive without losing your peace, and how to walk forward without being ruled by fear. Come closer for a moment. Do not rush past this truth. You are not standing before an empty heaven. You are not praying into a silence that does not care. I have heard you. I have seen you. I have stayed near you, even in the moments when your own heart could not feel me. And tonight, I am not asking you to pretend that the waiting has been easy. I am not asking you to deny the weariness, the confusion, or the ache of prayers that seemed unanswered. Bring all of it to me. Bring the trembling. Bring the disappointment. Bring the part of your heart that is afraid to hope again. Say to me, Lord, I do not understand everything, but I give you the burden I cannot carry. I give you the door I cannot open. I give you the timeline I cannot control. Teach me to trust you here. Before I see the answer, that is where faith begins. My child, not when everything is already clear, not when every door is already open. Faith begins when you place your tired heart in my hands and believe that I am still good, even before the morning comes. So let your soul become still. Let the noise around you quiet down. Let the fear that has been rushing through your thoughts begin to lose its power. You are not behind my plan. You are not forgotten in the waiting. You are being prepared with tenderness, wisdom, and love. And before you understand why the door has not opened yet, you must first understand what I have been building inside you while you waited. My beloved child, you are not invisible before my eyes. There were seasons when you looked at your life and wondered if anyone truly saw you. You kept moving through the days, carrying responsibilities, answering people, doing what needed to be done, while a quiet question lived beneath everything. Does my life really matter? There were moments when you compared your journey with others and felt as though you were standing far behind. You saw doors opening for them. You saw blessings arriving in their lives. You saw them stepping into places you had prayed for, while you remained in a season that seemed hidden, slow, and unanswered. But I want you to hear me clearly. You are not forgotten. You are not a soul lost in the crowd. You are not a small life passing through this world without meaning. Before anyone knew your name, I knew you. Before you learned how to pray, I had already placed my love upon you. Before you understood your own story, I saw the whole journey of your life from beginning to end. Not one step has been outside my sight. Not one hidden tear has been ignored. Not one quiet act of faithfulness has been wasted. As Isaiah 43, verse 1 declares, I have called you by your name. You are mine. Let those words rest deeply in your heart. You are mine, not because you have always been strong, not because you have never failed, not because you have understood every season correctly. You are mine because I have loved you with a love that began before time could measure it. The world may measure you by achievement, appearance, success, speed, influence, or what people can see on the outside. But I do not look at you through the shallow eyes of the world. I see what I placed within you. I see the flame still burning beneath the ashes of difficult years. I see the dreams you were almost afraid to believe could still live. I see the tenderness that pain did not destroy. I see the faith that kept whispering, my name, even when your heart was tired. Do not call yourself small when I have called you chosen. Do not call yourself meaningless when I have placed eternal purpose within your life. Do not call yourself too late when my timing has never been ruled by human clocks. There were doors I allowed to close, and I know they hurt you. You thought those closed doors meant rejection. You thought they meant you were not enough, not ready, not worthy, not remembered. But my child, some doors were closed because I was protecting you from places that would have wounded your soul more deeply. You saw the disappointment. I saw the danger. You saw the delay. I saw the preparation. You saw the end of something you wanted. I saw the beginning of something you were not yet able to recognize. I did not choose you because you are perfect. I chose you because I see what you will become when you place your hand in mine. I know the person I am forming within you. I know the courage that will rise where fear once lived. I know the compassion that will flow from places once marked by pain. I know the wisdom that will come from seasons you wished you never had to walk through. So, stop looking at yourself only through the lens of what happened to you. You are more than your disappointment. You are more than the door that closed. You are more than the words people spoke over you. You are more than the years that felt delayed. You are my beloved child, called by name, held by grace, and guided by a hand that has never left you. Even now, there is a light within you that you do not always recognize. To you, it may seem small, like a lamp flickering in a dark room. But to me, that light is precious. I placed it there. I have guarded it through storms, I have kept it alive when discouragement tried to cover it. And I will not allow darkness to extinguish what my own breath has kindled. You do not need to become someone else in order to be loved by me. You do not need to copy another person's calling, another person's path, or another person's timing. The lilies of the field do not compete with the cedars on the mountains. Each one grows beneath my care in its appointed place. In the same way, your journey does not need to look like anyone else's journey to be holy. What I am doing in you is personal. What I am preparing for you carries the mark of my wisdom. What I have placed within your soul cannot be measured by comparison. So lift your head again. Let the old voices lose their power. Let the accusations fall silent. Let the question, "Am I forgotten?" be answered by the truth of my love. You are seen. You are known. You are called. You are mine. And once you begin to see yourself through the eyes of the one who formed you, the waiting season will no longer look like rejection. It will begin to look like the hidden place where I was teaching you who you truly are. My beloved child, do not be ashamed of your weakness. Do not hide from me the places where you feel small, tired, uncertain, or unprepared. I already see them, and I am not disappointed in you. The world often looks for strength before it gives someone value. It looks for confidence, ability, beauty, success, and proof. But I do not choose the way the world chooses. I look deeper. I see the heart that still turns toward me when life feels empty. I see the trembling faith that still whispers my name when there is no visible answer yet. I see the soul that has been wounded, but has not fully surrendered to darkness. And my child, that is often where my greatest work begins. Remember the widow of Zarephath. When drought covered the land, she did not have abundance in her hands. She had only a little flour and a little oil. In human eyes, it was almost nothing. It looked too small to matter, too little to become a future. Yet, in the very place of lack, I opened a way. The miracle did not begin when she had everything. It began when she trusted my word with what little remained. You are the same. My beloved child, you may look at your life and see limitations. You may see only a small amount of strength, a small amount of hope, a small amount of courage left in your heart. But I am not limited by what you lack. I do not need perfect conditions to move. I do not need a full jar before I can pour out my provision. What I seek is a heart that can still trust me in the days that seem most empty. Remember David in the field. He was not the one people expected. He was young, overlooked, and familiar with hidden places where no crowd was watching. Yet while others saw only a shepherd boy, I saw a king being formed. When he stood before Goliath, the victory did not come from the size of his weapon, but from the presence of the Lord who walked with him. So do not despise the small things in your hand. Do not say, "I have nothing God can use." A simple sling, when placed in my purpose, can bring down what seemed impossible. A quiet heart, when surrendered to me, can become strong enough to stand where fear once ruled. Remember Moses. He looked at his weakness and thought it disqualified him. He thought his speech was not enough. He thought his past was too complicated. He thought someone else would be better. But I did not ask Moses to deliver my people by his own strength. I promised to go with him. And when my presence went before him, the sea opened. The wilderness became a road, and a trembling man became a leader in my hands. My child, your weakness does not frighten me. Your insecurity does not surprise me. Your unfinished places do not cancel my calling. As 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9 reminds you, my power is made perfect in weakness. This means the places where you feel least capable can become the very places where my grace is seen most clearly. Remember Gideon? He was hiding when I called him. In his own eyes, he was weak. He believed he was the least in his family, the least in his people, the least likely to be used for anything great. But I did not call him according to his fear. I called him according to what I knew he would become with me. I called him a mighty warrior before he felt like one. Do you understand what that means? My beloved child, I do not define you by the version of yourself that fear has shown you. I define you by my purpose, my love, and my power at work within you. You may still feel small today, but I see the courage I am forming. You may still feel wounded, but I see the compassion that will one day flow from the place where you were healed. Remember Joseph. Before the palace, there was the pit. Before honor, there was betrayal. Before the promise became visible, there were years that seemed confusing and unfair. Yet I was with him in every hidden place. Nothing was wasted. The pain did not have the final word. The waiting did not cancel the promise. What looked like a detour became part of the path. And you, my child, are also being led through a process. Do not measure my faithfulness only by what is already changed around you. Look also at what I am changing within you. I am making your roots deeper. I am softening what pain tried to harden. I am teaching your heart to listen, to surrender, to trust, and to rise again. Remember Samuel in the quiet of the night. He did not fully understand the voice calling him at first, but when his heart became willing, he answered, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." A holy life began with a listening heart. So, today, you do not need to prove that you are strong enough. You only need to come close enough to hear me. Bring me your small jar. Bring me your simple sling. Bring me your trembling voice. Bring me your hidden years, your wounded places, your unfinished faith. Miracles are not rewards reserved for perfect people. Miracles are signs of mercy. And if I could begin my greatest works in hidden fields, empty jars, prison cells, and trembling hearts, then your present weakness may not be the end of your story. It may be the very place where my strength is about to be revealed. My beloved child, not every door I open will announce itself with thunder. Not every sacred moment arrives with a sound loud enough to silence the whole world. Many times, grace comes gently. It enters like a soft breeze, touching a weary soul. It comes in the quiet pause after tears. It comes in the stillness that follows a long season of confusion. It comes when your heart finally stops running long enough to notice that I have been near all along. You may be looking for a dramatic sign. You may be waiting for everything around you to change before you believe that I am working. But my child, some of the most important doors do not first open in your circumstances. They open within your heart. A door opens when you are willing to trust again. A door opens when you stop letting fear speak louder than my promise. A door opens when you pause, breathe, and say, "Lord, I am listening." As Psalm 46, verse 10 declares, "Be still, and know that I am God." This stillness is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is not doing nothing. Stillness is the sacred place where your soul stops fighting me and begins receiving from me. It is where your heart becomes quiet enough to recognize my footsteps. It is where the noise of anxiety loses its authority. and my peace begins to rise like light entering a dark room. My beloved child, there are doors that do not open through striving. They open through surrender. There are blessings that cannot be received by a hurried heart. They are received by a heart that knows how to remain in my presence. Do not allow carelessness, weariness, or the noise around you to make you miss the grace that is passing by. There are times when I place something holy before you, but it comes so gently that only a listening heart can recognize it. The world will teach you to rush, compare, react, and chase. But I am teaching you to pause, discern, pray, and walk with wisdom. Remember Samuel in the night. He heard a voice calling him, but at first he did not understand that it was me. Again and again, he ran to Eli, thinking the call came from a human place. But when his heart was guided to answer, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," the direction of his life began to change. Do you see? My child, sacred moments often begin with a soul willing to listen. I am not asking you today to impress the world. I am not asking you to prove your strength. I am asking you to stop ignoring the gentle call that has been touching the deepest place within you. That quiet stirring, that longing for something purer, that holy uneasiness with the old way of living. These are not accidents. They are invitations. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. As Revelation 3, verse 8 declares, "But you must not let old fear decide for new faith. You must not let the wounds of yesterday stand at the entrance of tomorrow and tell you that you cannot go forward. Come closer. Before you take the next step, let me teach you how to listen. Bring your plans into my presence. Bring your questions. Bring the decision you are afraid to make. Bring the dream you buried because disappointment made you cautious. Do not rush to move simply because you are tired of waiting. And do not refuse to move simply because you are afraid. Ask me for wisdom. Ask me for peace. Ask me to purify your desire, so that what you pursue does not pull you away from my heart. A listening heart is not passive. A listening heart is deeply alive. It watches for my guidance. It tests every voice by my truth. It refuses to let panic become its shepherd. It learns to say, "Lord, I will not run ahead of you in anxiety, and I will not stay behind you in fear. Teach me to walk with you, my beloved child." The open door before you is not only about where you will go. It is about who you are becoming. I am teaching you to become someone who can carry blessing without losing humility. Someone who can receive opportunity without forgetting prayer. Someone who can walk into a new season without bringing every old chain into it. So be still for a moment. Let the room grow quiet around you. Let your hands loosen their grip on what you cannot control. Let your heart return to the one who has never stopped guiding you. You do not need to understand the whole road tonight. You only need to hear my voice for the next faithful step. And as you listen, you will begin to see that the door before you is real. But before you can walk through the door before you, I may first need to break the chains within you. My beloved child, do not call your chains normal. There are burdens you have carried for so long that they have begun to feel like part of your life. There are thoughts that have returned so often that you almost believe they are your own voice. There are fears that have followed you through so many seasons that you have started to make room for them, as though they were meant to stay. But my child, I did not create you to live beneath invisible bondage. I did not create you to wake each morning already defeated by thoughts of not being enough. I did not create you to carry old wounds like permanent names. I did not create you to live in constant comparison, quiet bitterness, hidden exhaustion, or the fear that nothing will ever change. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, as 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17 declares. And that freedom is not only for someday far away. It is the life I am calling you toward now. I know there are chains that make no sound. They do not always look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes they appear as a familiar habit that slowly dims your spirit. Sometimes they appear as a relationship that keeps pulling you away from peace. Sometimes they appear as a memory you keep replaying until your heart grows tired. Sometimes they appear as a quiet sentence inside your mind. You will always be this way. But that is not my voice. My voice does not bury you beneath hopelessness. My voice does not tell you that your wounds are your identity. My voice does not use shame to keep you trapped in the dark. When I reveal what is hurting you, I do not reveal it to condemn you. I reveal it because I love you too much to let it remain hidden. Light is not sent to shame you, but to set you free. When sunlight enters a dark room, the dust becomes visible. But the room is not exposed, so it can be abandoned. It is revealed, so it can be cleansed, opened, and filled with fresh air again. I am doing this within your soul. I am shining gently into the places you have avoided, not to accuse you, but to heal what has quietly been stealing your peace. So, pause with me here. Do not rush past this moment. Ask honestly, what have I called normal that God wants to heal? Is there a fear you have allowed to guide too many decisions? Is there a wound you keep protecting because you are afraid of feeling it again? Is there a voice from the past still deciding how you see yourself today? Is there something you keep postponing because obedience feels frightening? My beloved child, do not be afraid of these questions. I am not standing over you with anger. I am standing beside you with mercy. A physician does not touch the wound to increase the pain, but to heal it at the root. And I am the healer of your soul. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1, verse 5 declares, this means darkness is not your final home. Fear is not your master. Delay is not your identity. The old cycle does not have the authority to define the rest of your life. But you must stop agreeing with what is slowly weakening you. You must stop calling bondage wisdom. You must stop calling fear protection. You must stop calling numbness peace. True peace does not come from avoiding the wound. True peace comes when you bring the wound into my presence and allow me to touch it with truth. So, come to me with honesty. You do not need polished words. You do not need to pretend that you are stronger than you feel. Say to me, Lord, show me what has been holding my heart back. Shine your light on what I have hidden. Help me release what I cannot heal by myself. Teach me to choose freedom, one step at a time. This is how surrender begins. Not with shame, not with fear, but with trust. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. As 1 Peter 5, verse 7 says, give me the burden you were never meant to carry alone. Give me the thought that keeps returning in the night. Give me the bitterness you are tired of holding. Give me the fear that rises whenever you stand before a new door. And then take one small step of faith. Guard what enters your mind. Step away from what repeatedly pulls you into darkness. Return to my word when fear becomes loud. Choose prayer before panic. Choose truth before the old story. Choose light before hiding. My beloved child, I am not asking you to break every chain by your own strength. I am asking you to place the chains in my hands. And when the hidden chains begin to fall, you will finally be ready to receive the new thing I have been preparing all along. My beloved child, now step forward with peace, not with panic. Not with fear. Not with the old voice that says you are too late, too weak, or too wounded to begin again. Step forward knowing that I have been with you through every hidden season. I was with you when the door was closed. I was with you when your prayers felt unanswered. I was with you when your strength was small, when your heart was tired, and when you wondered whether anything beautiful could still rise from the ashes. And I am with you now. What I am bringing you into is not only a change around you, it is a change within you. A new season does not truly begin when circumstances shift. It begins when your heart learns to see with new eyes, to trust with deeper roots, and to walk without being ruled by the fear that once held you back. As John 14, verse 27 says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you." My peace is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect conditions. It does not disappear simply because the road is still uncertain. The peace I give is rooted in my presence. It is the quiet strength that rises inside you when you remember that you are not walking alone. Sometimes I calm the storm around you. Sometimes I strengthen you to walk through it. Prayer does not always remove the battle immediately, but it changes who is carrying the battle with you. So do not be afraid of the new chapter ahead. The same God who held you in the waiting will guide you in the walking. The same hand that protected you from the wrong doors will lead you through the right one. The same grace that healed hidden places in your soul will give you wisdom to carry what I place in your hands. I have not come to take away your peace. I have come to restore it. And when I restore you, my beloved child, I do not restore you only for yourself. A healed soul becomes a quiet shelter for others. A heart that has passed through darkness and found my light becomes a witness to those who still feel lost. The wound that once made you feel ashamed can become the very place where compassion begins to flow. You are the light of the world. As Matthew 5, verse 14 declares, I do not light your life so you can hide forever beneath fear. I do not heal you so you can return to the old chains. I do not open a door before you so you can stand outside it, still listening to the voice of yesterday. I am calling you to walk, one step at a time, with humility, with courage, with prayer, with peace. Do not rush ahead of me in anxiety. Do not stay behind me because of fear. Walk with me. Let my word guide your decisions. Let my presence quiet your thoughts. Let my love teach you how to live without constantly trying to prove your worth. You are already loved. You are already called. You are already held. So, before this moment ends, bring your heart before me once more. Not the version of your heart that pretends to be strong. Bring the real one. The one that still has questions. The one that still needs healing. The one that wants to believe but sometimes trembles at the edge of hope. Pray gently. Lord, I receive the peace you are giving me. I release the fear I have carried for too long. I give you the old chains, the old thoughts, the old wounds, and the old ways of seeing myself. Teach me to walk into this new season with wisdom, humility, and faith. Help me not to run ahead of you, and help me not to shrink back from what you are calling me to do. I trust you with the door before me, and I trust you with the work you are still doing within me. Now take one small step of faith. After this prayer, do not return immediately to the noise that once controlled your thoughts. Sit quietly for a moment. Breathe slowly. Place your hand over your heart and remember, God is with me today. Then choose one act of obedience. Forgive what needs to be released. Step away from what keeps pulling you into darkness. Open your Bible before opening your fear again. Speak truth where you once repeated defeat. Do the next right thing. even if it is small. My beloved child, the door before you is real, but the greatest door has already begun to open inside you. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not meaningless. You are loved, chosen, restored, and guided by my hand. And when you look back, you will understand that the door did not open only before you. It opened first within you.